So, I know people said not to compare the show too much to Death Note, so, fair warning, I'm about to compare the show a lot to Death Note, just as a heads up. Not in terms of quality, just in terms of the story and the characters. Don't worry about it. But with that said, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to one of our weekly Platinum End discussion videos. Today we're going to be talking about episodes 2 and 3, but before we get into the video proper, quick reminder if you haven't done so yet to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, let all of AniTube know that you're here, and without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about this week's episode of Platinum End, shall we? Well, it's kind of like this week and last week's, but still, here we go. So I'm not gonna lie, the last 2 weeks of Platinum End have been really dope. I did miss last week's video, my bad. I am here now with both episodes. I've watched them both back to back, and watching them both back to back was actually like very satisfying because like they really flowed into each other really nicely. But I gotta say, like the whole element of like the whole like new god thing. Before we get into the Death Note-y stuff, I do want to point out that that is like actually really interesting. The fact that the angels have like 999 days to find the new god is really giving me like 999 vibes, like 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. It really gives me that kind of a vibe. And to be fair, it's a death game, but the thing is, it was never meant to be that. Like, apparently, the way it was meant to be is that the angels were supposed to go out and find candidates for the new god, right? Like, the next god. And when they go out and find the candidates, they're supposed to find them, give them the arrows and stuff like that, and just sort of judge them, right? Judge how they act with them within the 999 days, right? That's all that was supposed to happen, is that they were just supposed to judge how the god candidates behave, right? And then Metropoliman was like, nah, my man didn't see it that way. So instead, he's just like, no, what if I just become the Monokuma of this world, and I'm just gonna like make my own killing game? And that is essentially what happens. Like from here on out, like the god candidate thing just becomes a killing game, because the way he sees it is that they won't they can't really give out like they okay, how do I put this? So they can't replace the god candidates, right? Like if a god candidate dies, that angel is just sort of done, right? Like that angel's position there is just sort of done, right? They just go back to heaven and then that's it. But the other candidates are allowed to take the other candidates off the board, which means Metropoliman can literally just go around and kill the other candidates because he has a white arrow, which can just straight up kill people, and it doesn't friggin' miss. That's the thing, is that white arrows don't miss. As soon as you lock on, that's it. Like, it's gonna hit, right? So as long as he can make eye contact with a god candidate, he can pretty much kill them, because not every candidate has the same abilities, right? Like only special class angels carry the wings, the red arrows, the Cupid's arrow, and the white arrow. But I believe it's so only special ranks can do that. Top ranks can have both wings and Cupid's arrow, and then the second rank can only have wings and arrow. And I believe that Saki only has the red arrow. So she doesn't Saki only has the Cupid arrow to make people like fall for her. She doesn't have like the wings, right? So she needs so I believe that would mean that Revel is actually just a second rank angel. So by the way, Revel's great. We'll talk about Revel in a bit. But yeah, so that basically means that you're gonna have to have characters who do form these connections with other characters in order to keep themselves in the game. And that does seem to be what Metropoliman is up to. We see by the end of the episode that the red arrow can't pierce through Metropoliman. Like when Metro Blue and Metro Yellow show up, we see that there's this like big Metropoliman fanboy who has seen the show, right? Because there was apparently a show called Metropoliman, which was like your basic Sentai nonsense. And this dude sees them and he's like, oh my god, that's Metro Blue and Metro Yellow, whoa, right? So my guess as to what's happening is that these people went either these people went to Metropolitan, they were god candidates who went and found him, and then he gave them the suits and they're putting on a show, or he like managed to convince these people to do this. Like he put people in the suits and then fired the arrow at himself, right? And if he fires the arrow at himself, it's not like it's gonna hit, right? So maybe that's what's happening, is that he fired the arrow at himself and he's just like using the people in there as like his own tools, you know, like maybe that's what's going on. I don't think that that people just showed up with the exact same suits as him, you know what I mean? Like, and they look like they're like suits from the set of Metropolitan, so there's no way that they would have found them other than going to him. So that's my guess as to what's going on. I do think that it's such a good place to end the episode, because it ends you on this big cliffhanger of like, what the hell is gonna happen? It's crazy. So that was definitely really sick. Like, I do think that the setup for the show is genuinely so interesting. I really, really dig it. Like, I love this setting. I love these characters. I just think everything about it is just super, super unique. That said, it's unique to a point, right? Because at the same time, it is made by the same people who brought you Death Note. So there is obviously some big Death Note vibes, right? And I feel like that's not a bad thing. That is absolutely not a bad thing. But I will say that Metropolitan is definitely giving me big Light Yagami vibes. Like, this man is big Light Yagami energy, you know? Like, that's the energy this man is giving me. Whereas Mirai is definitely more of he just wants to be like a lighter light. A lighter light. He wants to be like he doesn't really want to even be the new god, you know? Like, he doesn't want to do any of that. He just wants to be a regular guy. He doesn't really want to take over anybody's mind. He doesn't really want to use the arrow on Saki for his own gain. He doesn't want to do any of that stuff. He just wants to be a good person. He just wants to be a good person. He just wants to be happy. That's all this man asks for. That's all this man really desires from life. And I have to give him credit. That's really genuine, right? Like, I like the fact that our MC is a good person, right? That said, Metropolitan is the exact type of protagonist that I think a lot of Death Note fans would have liked to have followed, which I get, because I'm not gonna lie, the dude's suit is kind of cool, and his story is pretty compelling. As an antagonist, you want to see what this dude does. But unlike Death Note, where we flip the antagonist and protagonist, where now our antagonist is the MC and our protagonist is the villain, quote unquote, or not the villain, but you know what I mean, he's not the main character. In Platinum End, it's very much reversed. Mirai is the protagonist, and he's also the MC. So it's basically like, what if Death Note followed L, right? Like, that's kind of the vibe it's giving me. But I will say that the big reveal this week, or not this week, the big reveal of last week, where it turns out that Saki has an angel, that the love interest from episode 1 actually had an angel, was crazy. That shot where where Mirai is walking up to school and then he sees the angel floating above school, and the show was so clever because it tells you that Metropolitan goes to school, right? Like, that Metropolitan is a student, who is a high school student, he's going to school, right? So you're like, oh shit, that has to be Metropolitan's angel, right? So you're like, oh crap, right? And we've already seen Revel, right? And Revel said, like, oh, the way he's doing this, he got us. And you're wondering, like, who is he? Because you think in that moment that Revel is Metropolitan's angel. So you're wondering who this he is, but really he was just watching him thinking Metropolitan got us, because he's not Metropolitan's angel, he's Saki's angel. And when he shows up, it's so sick, because again, like, it puts you on edge. You're like, where is he? Like, you're like looking around for Metropolitan, you're like, oh shit, where is this guy? And then Mirai's like, okay, if I just keep walking and I don't look up, they won't be able to notice that I can see the angel, so it's fine. And then immediately Revel just floats down right in front of this man's face, and it's like, oh, gotcha. You wouldn't have stopped if you couldn't see me. Hi, how's it going? All right, you're like, whoa, what the fuck? And then Saki shows up and hits him with the red arrow, and you're like, oh shit. And I thought Saki was gonna, like, because when Saki said my room's on the 3rd floor, meet me there, I thought she was gonna make this man jump, right? Like, I thought she was gonna bring this man to, like, a third story and then try to make him jump, but I guess then it still wouldn't have killed him. But, like, I really thought she was gonna try to kill Mirai, and I was wondering, like, oh shit, like, how is Mirai gonna get out of this? But in actuality, no, Saki's about as good of a person as Mirai is. It just so happens that her angel is the angel of trickery, according to the other angels, aka Revel. And Revel's great and already has a pre-established relationship with Nase, which is also great. But the reason why I like Revel a lot is because he's a little shit. And that is like my absolute favorite character type. I don't know why. I like characters like that. I think they're so fun. And Revel is such a shit. And I love him to pieces. And I thought his introduction was great. And everything about him was great. And the reveal was so freaking dope. It was such a good... Tell me, like... I'm sorry, tell me that that's not reveal of the season. Like, big twist of the season was, like, to me, that twist was crazy. Like, the fact that, like, Saki was, like, is also in the game, and the way that they handled it was, like, to me, that was classic Death Note. Like, the way that they revealed that was, like, totally, like, to me, that was on par with, like, what are you writing down? Like, oh, you keep looking at your watch, why is that? Oh, that's probably just because I'm Kira. Like, that was on par with that. Like, that is such a sick reveal. Like, that is such a cool moment. And it gave me big Death Note vibes. And I absolutely adored it. I thought it was great. This whole episode is just super, super good. Like, the whole episode is just absolutely fantastic. Or, well, not just episode 2, but episode 3 as well. Like, both of these episodes have been so good. Right? So good. And I'm really liking Platinum End a lot. Like, just take Death Note, make it a killing game. Yes, please. Like, yes, please. Hey, man, we're in the era of Squid Game now, where everybody likes killing games. So if you've been into killing games for a while, and you're not watching Platinum End, now would probably be a good time to start. Anyway, outro. And that's gonna do it for today's video, everybody. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot, share if you care, leave a comment down below, and of course, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and set notifications to all. Let all of AniTube know that you're here. And of course, before we go, as always, I have to give a big thank you to my wonderful masters who help support this endeavor. And of course, I want to give a special thank you to the Masters of Masters who help support us just that little bit more. And I have to give a big thank you to Izevi, Asaki VT, Elizabeth Just Elizabeth, JCran23, Jeremy P, Matt87 Eagle, Shadow Creative, Shiorans, Stephen G, Stevie W, Trapmaster, and Tristan G. Thank you all so much for being so freaking wonderful. I appreciate it. And if you want to hear your name shouted out at the end of these videos, or you want to see your name scrolling past the screen, go ahead and check out the link in the description to our Patreon page, or you can hit that join button right beside the sub button. And that also gets you a badge next to your name as well in the comments if you want people to know how cool you are. But yeah, I'd sincerely appreciate it. It is a great way to help this channel and keep videos coming out. I really appreciate it, everyone. And that is it for me. So, you guys take care of yourselves, and of course, do clean your room. It's filthy.